Katy Perry's near-death experience, the WNBA, is there rumblings of a strike? God knows. And Superman, weekend box office. Let's get into it on Live with the Guy, Monday through Friday. I got my producer, Nat.
Hello.
And I have a correction to make. I do a lot of stories. I do 2 shows a day. I do this show and I do a political show at night. Sometimes I'm doing up to 40 stories a day. I did a story on Friday on this particular show about Kneecap. I didn't know much about the band. I was completely wrong about the band. Nat tried to correct me live on the show. I kind of didn't want to be corrected and I got a little bit upset. And then the audience corrected me in the comments. So thank you for everybody for correcting me. Kneecap was not a traditional band. They were very progressive band. So I'll probably do another article so I'm more well informed on the band in the future.
And I mean, it does still raise up the question of free speech. Like, even if it's speech you don't like, should it be permitted? In my opinion, free speech is imperative and should always be permitted. There's no such thing as hate speech. But yes, the band was very progressive in saying.
Yeah. So, and sometimes I can get away with not knowing much about a story. That particular case, everybody watched that episode. I usually get 10 views on an episode. I got 500 on that particular episode and a lot of comments. So yes. Let's get into today's story, which involves music again. Somebody I do actually know a little bit about, and that's Katy Perry. Yes. Okay, Katy Perry was at a concert on this, what would you call this, a flying dragon?
I think it was a butterfly. It says here, Katy Perry almost falls off a butterfly.
Okay, so she was on a flying butterfly with cables on it. I have my take on it. I know Nat's from a little bit of a different generation, so she has a different take on it, but let's play it.
Okay. Just
so the audience knows what we're talking about.
So she's singing, so we don't have sound because she's singing. Almost fell. Kept holding on. And...
And then she starts singing again. So she stopped singing when the malfunction happened on the particular giant butterfly there. Okay, you can stop it there. Luckily, she was okay. So great for Katy Perry. Do you have any comments on this?
Well, I mean, she is an astronaut and she does know a lot about flying. But I mean, I think even though I don't like her politics, Pink, for example, is really good at doing aerial stunts while she sings live. Okay. And you can actually hear the breathing from the aerial stunts. Not always.
Hold on.
But
the audience might not know what we're talking about because we didn't kind of clue them in. Maybe I should give my opinion first.
Sure, give your opinion.
When the malfunction happened, she stopped singing because she almost lost her life there, to be honest. If she would have fell from there, it would have been serious consequences. That being said, she stopped singing, but the music continued to play. Because the music continued to play, she was obviously lip singing the entire time. And this new generation is okay with lip singing. They want a performance, I guess. My generation, I want something real. I want something authentic. I can't stand people lip singing. I think this was discovered like maybe 15 years ago. People started realizing with Britney Spears, people were lip singing. What were you going to say?
Well, I was trying to see if she's hooked in somewhere. I think she might be hooked in, so she wouldn't have fallen. I mean, she would have, I think she's attached to the thing.
Yeah, but you don't see a major harness and things like that, so she could have potentially still fallen out.
I think that's what this red bit is here. It kind of looks like the Cirque du Soleil harnesses, where they hide them in the, I think that red thing is a harness.
Okay, well, why don't we talk about the actual lip singing that we were going to get into?
Sure. Oh, do I? Yeah. Go? Well, as I was saying,
I just wanted the audience to know that she was lip singing the entire time. I think a lot of artists do this. I don't know how many people are actually aware of this. I don't personally like it, and nobody highlighted the fact that she stopped singing, but the music kept playing with her voice.
Well, usually then
she started again.
Usually, when artists in big concerts are doing big stunts or big, aerial things or jumping around, there has to be a backing track.
Hold on.
I'm not defending her. I don't like Katy Perry.
Hold on. That's not the case. Because in my generation, that was never the case.
But
only with your generation.
But in your generation, they weren't doing big musical stunts like they do nowadays. Like if you see Pink, if you see
I would prefer authentic vocals with no stunts if they can't do both.
If it's a rock band, sure. Like if it's a singer that you're there for singing and has a guitar. But if they're jumping around a la Britney Spears or a la Pink or a la Katy Perry doing these big massive productions where nowadays you can, like, most people say, well, why would I go to a concert just to see someone sing? I want to see them do something.
Why would I go to a
extra.
concert just to listen to a CD play over the airwaves?
Because
Your
you're seeing
generation likes to have a CD played to you at a concert to watch this magical show. I'm not about that at all.
but
I
that's
want to
what
hear authentic vocals. The reason I go is for the music, not for the stunts.
But that's what I'm saying, that like why people would defend it. I'm not saying I like any of these artists, but
Well, I think generationally, when I talk to other people from younger generations, they're more inclined to defend it. People from older generations don't defend it. A lot of people from older generations also don't know the large majority of artists are lip singing, even when they're not doing stunts these days.
okay. But I am saying that, for example, Pink, again, I don't like her as a person. Her music, not that much either, but her shows are very impressive because she did train and learn how to do aerial stunts and how to do hanging off the ceiling and singing, and also she sang on top of a building. All that stuff is impressive and it's cool. And if artists want to focus on that rather than their singing, then I mean, it's the people paying for the tickets, the ones that get to decide.
Yeah, but I think it's not authentic. They're not letting. I don't think a lot of the audience actually knows they're lip singing when they're going to a concert.
They do know. You can hear the You can hear the.
I talk to people and they literally don't know.
Well, then those are very stupid people.
Okay, let's go into the next article here.
Rafa says, hello, happy Monday. So hello, Rafa.
Good to see you. Starting off right, arguing with Nat about lip singing at concerts. I don't agree with it. She likes it.
It's not that I like it. It's that I understand why it has to be used as a.
It doesn't have to be used.
No, but as insurance. Most of the times, what they actually do.
That's why it's a live concert. I want to see things go wrong.
Most of the times what they do is they have a backing track that's a bit muted or a bit lower, and then the artist does sing on top of it. Other times, yes, it's full on, their microphones are turned off. But a lot of times it's for insurance in case something happens, or in case, I don't know, the artist can't hear through their monitoring device, the monitoring thing, their in-ear monitoring.
I don't want insurance. When I watch YouTube and people that have edited videos, okay, they're going to get it perfect. When I watch a live, I expect to see mistakes and I want to see those mistakes. Same with a concert. If I want perfection, I buy a CD. If I want to see something live, I want the ability for things to go wrong. That's part of the excitement of the live show.
And this is the same thing I've been saying also with, now that I'm obsessed with beatboxing, that's why it's so cool, because you can see people make insane sounds with their mouths, and then when they're live in a battle or whatever, you can see it without even the microphone reverb, and it is very impressive. And I think people will move more towards that as AI music comes up, and I'd love to have an interview or something with some beatboxer to talk about that.
Well, you have to contact these people to get in.
How music is now actually being pared down to the level of beatboxing, and I think it's going to get bigger and bigger. There's a band that's now going to be playing the FIFA opener, which is pretty impressive. They got invited to do that. It's called Beat Pella. Yeah, Beat Pella. And they're from South Korea. So, I mean, I do appreciate the live and the technical aspects of music, but at the same time, I understand if people, mostly teenagers and young women, are going to see these artists that want to have these giant productions, there has to be some sort of insurance with a backing vocal track. Okay. Rafa says, have you already got the car? If not, I'll send you some tips. Thank you so much. That's what I was doing on Friday. I was picking up the car.
Yeah, so we got a car now.
That's why I was late.
Although I don't know how much we use it. All we do is stay in the house and make videos and do 2 shows a day. But we do want to get out and start shooting videos outdoors more. So now we have the ability to do that.
Street interviews and stuff. Rafa says lip sync is a scam. Again, I do think it's a scam, but I think people know what they're paying for.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do.
A lot of people do not know these artists are lip syncing. They expect it to be authentic and real on stage.
I mean, for example, the Ashley Simpson flub on Saturday Night Live.
Ashley Simpson's not even an artist. Nobody's watching her.
That's what I'm saying. That's what ruined her career. If you let me finish speaking,
we have more articles coming up, and I'm gonna prove to you people do not want lip singing, and lip singing is the reason they're not able to even sell out a stadium. Beyonce not able to sell out anymore.
That's because Beyonce's weird.
Okay, well, I'll give you artists you've never even heard of that are literally selling out 70,000 person stadiums.
Okay, Rafa also says, if you let me move on. Rafa says, you're right, guys. Same with your videos and the funny technical issues. And that is why we leave them in. And we have made a conscious effort to leave our first ones and to continue going even if we do mistakes, because we think people will eventually appreciate that more than seeing 100% perfection a la Mr. Beast, because that's getting tired.
Well, not even just that. Having to do it live and trying to get it as good as you can get it. Makes things a lot easier when you do record a video. I remember when we first started recording videos, it's like 50 takes because you can't even talk without stuttering. Once you get better and better at lives, you can pretty much do it in 1 or 2 takes if you do an edited video. And when you start doing more edited videos, you really have to have the ability to do it quick. So doing lives gives you the exact skill set you do need for edited videos as well. But let's go into the Superman box office here.
Sure. From Deadline, Superman's second weekend higher with 58 million propels Warner Brothers to top of year-to-date studio market share with 1.32 billion.
Okay, and I want to read a little bit about this just because I want to see what they mean by market share. I have my idea and I made a few notes. Hopefully they're correct and I don't want to get things wrong like I did with Kneecap on Friday. Let's read a little bit of the article though.
DC Studios on Warner Brothers Superman is higher with a second weekend of 58.5, 53 minus 53%, and a 10-day running total of 236.2. Sunday came in at 18.75 versus 17.4 forecasted yesterday. Worldwide running total continues to soar with 409.3.
Okay, let's keep going down and see if they say anything about market share here. Keep going down because it's going to be a long article. The market share is going to be further down. Okay, probably right around here.
I'm trying to read as fast as I can.
Gun Superman. Keep going down. Okay, maybe they don't talk about it here and it was just in the headline.
Well, I just think it means Warner Brothers is
No,
dominating.
I have a kind of a big point to make about this. You can go back to the top where it does say market share then. Sure. And this is kind of why I think they're making these extremely high budget movies and they don't mind losing money, or at least they can flub the numbers a little bit. When Warner Brothers this year has been losing money hand over fist, but they prefer to make these $500 million movies with these multi-million-dollar marketing budgets because let's say the movie costs $600 million to make with the marketing budget and they make $500 million and they make 3 of these. So they make $1.5 billion total, but they lose $500 million in the process. They still own most of the market share. How much they lost is not calculated into the total market share. So although Warner Brothers is dominating on market share, they're not dominating on profits. And this is just a way for them to kind of sell their studio as successful when they're losing money. Okay. Do you have anything about this? No? Okay, let's go into the next article because it does refer to Superman again here. I just wanted to kind of talk about how they're really trying to put market share first. And it's not really about market share. It's about profitability. But
So from the Hollywood Reporter, Superman flexes impressive staying power, flies past 400 million globally. Elsewhere, Jurassic World Rebirth celebrates crossing 600 million worldwide, while new offerings, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Smurfs, open to May numbers.
okay, they had no competition this weekend. That's why they were able to get these numbers somewhat okay again. Plus, before this movie came out, it was hit with some bad pre-reviews. Come to find out, it didn't have politics and a lot of the other things they said it would have in there. So a lot of people may have passed up on the first weekend, but they did go the second weekend. So it maintained fairly well at the box office. It's going to fall off next weekend because the Fantastic Four is coming out with Pedro Pascal. Not that that movie is going to do good, but because Superman didn't have the cojones to actually put itself up against the Fantastic Four and Pedro Pascal. I think this is a perfect opportunity with comic book movies generally falling off right now. You had the Marvels, you had the Fantastic Four with Pedro Pascal coming out 2 weeks after Superman, basically making sure it doesn't have a long sustaining run so it can't make a ton of money. It wants to take its market share away from it. What Superman should have done is prepared an independent media push and maybe an alternate version of the movie to come out against Fantastic Four and pit Superman against Pedro Pascal to pit DC against Marvel. Say, don't just go watch a superhero movie, be the superhero, help Superman beat Fantastic Four and Pedro Pascal. Some stupid marketing campaign like that you can put Marvel against DC, the new Superman against Pedro Pascal. I think Superman, this would have been the movie to kind of take out Fantastic Four, even though it had been out for a couple of weeks. Pedro Pascal and Marvel's is up for cancellation, and this would have been a good way to drive people into the theaters for Superman on a week where you're going to see a major drop-off. If we remember back in the 90s, you kind of had this hip-hop East Coast, West Coast beef, and it really helped elevate all parties involved to sell more records. I think we're at a point where DC or Marvel is going to have to put itself up directly against its competitor in a marketing campaign, and I think it will help sell and drive tickets overall. Do you have anything to say?
Well, I think unfortunately, if the Fantastic Four haven't been canceled and the scandals haven't really come out by now, I don't know how much it'll actually affect the box office.
Well, if it depends.
Other than everybody knows Marvel isn't good anymore.
Well, I don't know. It depends, because there is the rumors of the LGBTQ scene between Pedro Pascal and a flashback. So that could result in a cancellation once the movie comes out. Then again, they said they were doing last minute edits, really right almost up to the week they're going to release this movie. So maybe they're trying to edit that part out. Okay. I don't think Fantastic Four is going to do well at all. I think if they leave that LGBTQ scene, plus what happened with Pedro's father, there's a lot of reasons that Pedro may get canceled. And I don't think Pedro can really be the leader of the Avengers, which that's the position they're trying to put him in. That's the position that the Avengers movie wanted to go. They may have to do rewrites or edits for that as well, just like they did Fantastic Four.
And I think more than the father thing, for example, there's been a lot of articles written about him being creepy, him being weirder on his co-star. So I think that might be the angle, but who knows how much his actual fans care. They might be like, oh, I want him to hug me like that.
Yeah, but it's not about his fans caring. It's about the moderates turning their back on him. So if enough comes out and the right media push comes out where the moderates turn against Pascal, he's always going to have his fans. Of course, the community and the people and certain people that love the messaging are going to watch Pascal and go to his movies, but that's a very small amount of people. It's when the moderates really start hearing stories that they don't like, or there's a cancellation that really affects the moderates, which will affect his career. Okay, let's go into the next story here.
From Deadline, we've broken the mainstream. Did the Sidemen's YouTube to Netflix gamble pay off?
Okay, I didn't know what the Sidemen's was before I read this article. I went on YouTube and I watched a little bit of an episode, so I'd be more informed again than I was on Friday with Kneecap. Did you know what the Sidemen's were?
Sidemen aren't they a rap band, something like that?
Is that what it was? Because I was watching the episode of the Sidemen's on YouTube, and they're going for a hike in the woods. It's fairly well produced. It looks like YouTube editing. The main gentleman on the back side, he's Logan Paul's business partner. He's a huge YouTuber. He's one of the biggest YouTubers, actually. That being said, what are you looking up?
Who are the Sidemen? I mean, I know KSI was in it.
Yeah, KSI is right there. Yeah. And I thought there were a bunch of YouTubers, actually, when I was watching the Sidemen's episode. That's the amount of research I did for this. Have you seen an episode of the Sidemen's?
I know. The only thing I know them for is they brought out some sort of liquor at some point, and I watched someone review it. That was about it.
Okay. Why don't we read a little bit about it, and then I'll comment.
Sure. Money was the one-word reply given by Toby Brown of The Sidemen when asked by Netflix UK chief Anne Mensah why the successful YouTube collective had chosen to show.
Okay, so I was right. It was a YouTube collective, because when you watch the episode, each individual character on there really seems like a YouTuber. The way they communicate, the way they go with the cameras, they all have their little selfie cams. It's all edited very well. It's like YouTube editing made for Netflix. We do know that YouTube content does appeal to people in a Netflix market or even a network TV market. I was watching Tosh O, which was also broadcast on network TV, as well as Ridiculousness, which is broadcast on MTV more than any other show. And it's basically just YouTube clips with people making commentary over top of it. So YouTube can be effective in Netflix or on broadcast TV. The thing is, we're going to have an article later where they're trying to bring network TV into YouTube. And I don't think that necessarily works as good. Let's continue with the article a little bit.
With a collective of 150 million YouTube subscribers between them, the Sidemen boast a unique place in global influencer culture. The decision to move the Big Brother-esque reality series from YouTube to Netflix, therefore, came somewhat out of the blue late last year. At the same time, the Sidemen told BBC they had hit the limit of what they can achieve on YouTube, a notable phrase out of the platform that secured their fame.
Let's pause it there for a second. And this is the question Netflix is going to have. Will the YouTube followers actually follow them over to Netflix and pay a subscription fee to watch them? Most likely, because most of these content creators probably already get a fee for content that's behind a paywall. So this is a safe bet. We also seen Brett Cooper go to Fox News, which is a little bit different, but it is a network TV. Again, trying to look for talent from YouTube. There's a bunch of stories today kind of about this. And I think YouTube is really going to be the breeding and testing ground for new talent going forward for Netflix, for network TV, whether it's news broadcasters, filmmakers, or anything like that.
And at least KSI, I don't know about the rest, has a very young following.
They all do. And they all, although KSI was the only person I knew from that collective when I watched the episode or part of the episode, they were all very likable, and they were actually all better than normal TV talent and things like this. Just like I think Brett Cooper is a lot more talented than a lot of traditional broadcasters. So bringing fresh blood, fresh energy that already has a fan base that will follow him over kind of guarantees a certain level of success. And then if new fans come in or people that haven't seen him in a mainstream audience, that only brings more success. Also, it's really cheap to do content like this. If you do a traditional sitcom series or something like this, it costs a lot of money for everybody's salaries. Each one of these content creators already come with their own independent film crew. They have their own editors. They have their own people that do lighting and production. They also know how to do a lot of it. So they're very production savvy, which is going to cut costs down. Later on, we're going to go into Colbert again, and the production cost on a stupid show like Colbert has is extremely bloated. YouTubers really knew how to cut the cost down. That's why going to YouTubers, not just for on-screen talent, but off-screen talent, this is really the next generation of content creation for Netflix, for news broadcasting, for YouTube itself. Okay, let's go into the next story here.
So UK government, hold on, I'm trying to fix the sound levels because you were clipping. From Deadline, UK government should change law to make broadcaster content easy to find on YouTube, regulator urges. And
this kind of goes into the last story I was saying. Even if the UK government lowers regulations so they can put this content on YouTube, so maybe they can get a more youthful audience that will hopefully follow them over back to broadcast TV, although I think that's a bad model. Taking people that have a fan base and putting them on network TV would work, but having to do this thing of putting network TV on YouTube to hopefully get the fans to follow you back to network TV, I don't know if it's going to work. Also, that being said, I just don't think people want to watch the kind of stuff that's on network TV on YouTube. This is long form content that's very scripted, very time intensive, things like this. It's not live. It's too produced. And I don't think people that are watching YouTube necessarily want to watch that content. If the UK government lowers the standards, puts that on YouTube and nobody watches it, it's going to be even more publicity how mainstream media and the BBC is dead. So maybe it's a good idea that they're not on there. They do need to start investing a lot of time and money into maybe getting some of the talent from YouTube and bring them into the BBC. Just like the last story we kind of talked about, Netflix is looking to YouTube for their talent. And even when I watched the last story we were talking about, what was the name of the group there? The Sidemans. The entire editing of that series that's on Netflix looks like YouTube content. So Netflix already has well-produced BBC style content, but now they're making YouTube style edits for another generation.
What I'd be worried is that by bringing in broadcaster content, specifically news, it might be a push to get the right quote unquote information in front of YouTube viewers, because there has been this conversation that everything on YouTube is mis or dis or malinformation, etc. And by networks trying to get into YouTube now and being pushed not just by YouTube but by their own power, it might cut off a lot of the work that has been done on YouTube to present information from different perspectives, different angles.
Yeah, I think they're going to try. They've already tried that once under the Biden administration, where they were able to manipulate the algorithm. I think they'll probably try it again by pushing advertising money into there to push messaging. But it really failed. It's really failed, and people are going to independent content creators. I think the better position is to have mainstream news organizations and things like this recruit independent content creators like Brett Cooper, put her on Fox News, but let her keep her own show and have her own opinions. So that when she has her own opinions and she's on her own show and she's still making content and appearing on Fox News, it gives a certain level of authenticity. If they just take her off of YouTube, put her on Fox News, tell her we own all your content, you can't make your own show anymore, she's going to lose that trustability to her traditional audience. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go into the next article, and that is going to be, this was
CNBC. Astronomer CEO Andy Byron resigns after viral Coldplay kiss cam controversy. Astronomer Andy Byron has resigned after he was captured on video in an intimate embrace with his company's chief people officer at a Coldplay concert. Byron was placed on leave on Friday.
Yeah, and we said that it was now a liability that they would probably have to fire him, or he would be resigned. This has now happened. The problem is I found out that the woman that was on the kiss cam with him was also cheating on her spouse, yet nothing's being done, or there's being no media attention put to her, mainly just the male in the situation. Also being said, I wouldn't suspect that she's going to be fired. They may offer her some kind of non-disclosure and a severance package if they do, but it's going to be something really cushy.
No, they can't fire her because that would be...
Well, they're not going to fire her, but they can offer her something, a cushy severance package, and just so they get less media exposure on this. That being said, yeah, you could see this coming a mile away. I was surprised that they were both cheating on their spouses, but only one's kind of really being outed over and over again.
Because he's the CEO, and again, if media and people were turning towards her, then she could go ahead and claim, and this is why they can't fire her, she could go ahead and claim that she was being coerced, that it was inappropriate behavior by the CEO, that she felt like she had to do that in order to keep her job, etc., and there could be a lawsuit on Astronomer's hands.
Yeah, I almost think, because at any point, if she loses or gets fired from the job, she's going to have a lawsuit against them unless they give her a promotion. If they get her a promotion and then she tries to file a lawsuit a couple of years down the road, if they ever do fire her, they can say, oh no, we promoted you after that scandal, so we didn't care about it. So I would almost expect her to get a promotion where he gets to resign. Mm-hmm. It's going to be interesting what these two spouses do about this.
Well, I mean, I heard, again, this is all conjecture and speculation. I heard his wife deleted her married last name from her LinkedIn, and then she left the comments open to let people kind of throw their support on her.
Yeah, I seen that as well. I kind of mentioned that on Friday's episode. I know I had seen that I don't know if this was an authentic picture or not. I seen a picture of her with her 3 kids.
No, it wasn't authentic.
That wasn't?
No,
okay.
It's AI generated.
Okay, because I was going to say she was very attractive, and the girl he was cheating on with...
She is very pretty, though.
The girl he was cheating on with was not very attractive. Okay, let's go into the next story, which is related to this Coldplay story.
From Variety, Coldplay frontman Chris Martin jokes about viral kiss cam moment during concert. We'd like to say hello to some of you in the crowd. And it is funny that it was during a Coldplay concert, because he had his whole conscious uncoupling from Gwyneth Paltrow. And all in all, I think they handled their divorce a bit better. And they stayed friends, etc. Their child is insufferable, Apple. But
what's her name? Apple?
Apple, yeah.
Oh my God.
She had her coming out party not that long ago.
Oh my God.
Coming out to society, not out of the closet. But as this thing rich people in New York do, they had a cotillion and she was in it, and apparently she's insufferable. But it is interesting that it happened during the conscious uncoupling part of the couple Christmas concert.
This has been a great marketing campaign for them on something so stupid as this kiss cam, and now he's leaning into it, and there's even more articles being written about the fact that he's making jokes at his concert about this. The kiss cam is going to become a regular thing. They're joking about, they're going to make a separate section which they're not going to use the kiss cam in. So they are really leveraging this to a full marketing campaign, and good for them, because usually you would have to pay for exposure like this. On this particular case, they're getting literally hundreds of millions of dollars of free exposure for Coldplay.
And it's another thing that goes back to the first Katy Perry story, where it's like, oh, Coldplay is still relevant, they're still having concerts, but it's because their concerts are very entertaining, and I've been to one. I mean, they do a lot of production around the concerts. Is there some lip syncing in there? Who knows? But they do manage to give the fans an experience beyond just playing music.
Yeah, I almost think artists that are authentically singing need to promote that they're authentically singing and really put themselves against artists that aren't. The problem with that is most of these artists are controlled by record labels, and they don't want to bring that fact out or highlight the fact that one of their artists is authentic, because it would hurt all the rest of their artists. If artists had more control over their careers, I think there would be less lip singing.
Mm-hmm. You want me to read into it?
Also, record labels prefer to manufacture an artist that they have absolute control over rather than go for talent. That's why I think lip singing has become extremely prevalent in music in general.
Well,
let's read a little bit about it.
Started in the 80s, I was going to say, but okay. I was going to go into the history of lip syncing. Coldplay frontman Chris Martin is joining in on the viral kiss cam couple moment. On Saturday, during the first concert since the now infamous video was taken, Martin jokingly warned the audience that the fan cam was about to begin filming. "We'd like to say hello to some of you in the crowd," he said in a video. "How we're going to do this is we're going to use our cameras and put some of you on the big screen. So please, if you haven't done your makeup, do your makeup now."
That's great. Yeah, and he did it. It's very tastefully, and it is very humorous the way he's putting it. So this guy does have he's got a future career in stand-up comedy, not just singing. Okay, let's go into this next article. And this next article, I just kind of get an article to talk about the conversation, because it's all kinds of things all over X right now, and these players are wearing shirts that we want to get what we're paid. That's what these shirts are saying.
We want to get paid what we deserve.
We want to get paid what we deserve, and there's also rumors of a strike. These girls are talking about going on strike. This is absolutely ridiculous. The WNBA has been operated at a multi-million-dollar loss. I mean, the losses this league makes for each individual team, there's not a single team that's profitable other than maybe Caitlin Clark's team since Caitlin Clark came on the team. Okay, let's read this particular article, and then we're going to go into the possible strike with the WNBA.
Angel Reese says the $50,000 she won in Unrivaled was a need because of her low WNBA salary.
And Angel Reese is absolutely ridiculous. Most of these girls are just giant lesbians, and they're getting in fistfights with Caitlin Clark. The fact that they're fouling Caitlin Clark at such a tremendous rate is crazy. That is the Michael Jordan of your league. What do I mean? Not just the fact that Caitlin Clark is the best player in your league. She's the only marketable thing that you have. You could literally market an entire league around her alone, which could possibly make the league profitable at some point in the future. Her team looks like they're going to be the only profitable team in the WNBA. That being said, they're doing everything they can to sabotage not only Caitlin Clark's career, but the WNBA as put around Caitlin Clark, I guess you would say. Mm-hmm. Let's read a little bit about this.
Angel Reese appeared to take several shots at her WNBA salary on social media Monday night as she celebrated winning the inaugural Unrivaled championship and the $50,000 bonus that comes along with finishing first in the new 3-on-3 women's basketball league, the Rose Basketball Club, led by 22-year-old Reese, with fellow WNBA stars Chelsea Gray, Lexi Hall.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about this because as much as I don't like Angel Reese and she knows how to make headlines for all the wrong things, you do need a villain to your superhero. Caitlin Clark is definitely the superhero in the situation, and Caitlin Clark can be the villain. She doesn't have nearly the skills Caitlin Clark has, but she does know how to make media headlines and say stupid things. The thing for this rivalry to work, Caitlin Clark really has to engage her on a level where Angel Reese kind of seems to be, even if she's not the figurehead, NBA players around her, because she is making so many headlines, are agreeing with the statement she's saying. She's kind of the person leading this potential WNBA strike. It would be nice if Caitlin Clark came out and said, well, we need to make the league profitable so that we can get paid more. So if she took the opposite stance of what Angel Reese is taking, you would not only have a rivalry on the court, but off the court. Really lean into this thing. Okay, we can go into the next article if you don't have anything to say about this.
Well, I don't know if the numbers are correct, but apparently there are roughly 144 players in the WNBA. If the league loses $50 million, which they have, they owe the league about $347,222 each.
Yeah, and I think that's just surface level numbers. I think it goes way deeper than this, just the transportation costs and everything else. I think that renting the stadiums out, like the costs add up. I really think they're trying to manipulate those statistics. If maybe you're watching the show and you're wondering, well, how are they affording to pay these women this much if they're losing so much money year after year? The WNBA subsidizes the entire league, and they have
the NBA.
The NBA has done so since the WNBA's inception. It was a marketing campaign to hopefully get females interested in basketball and then bring those people over to the NBA. It didn't work. The lesbians typically like the WNBA. And even if they're typically not coming over to watch the NBA. Mm-hmm. It's such a niche market. It's not working. Caitlin Clark is the first time they've had mass appeal.
She also wore that shirt though.
Yeah. And she's saying a lot of woke shit that's not necessarily in her basic nature. When she first came out, she tried to just be quiet about everything, but everybody on her team, everybody in the league itself, the management is really pressuring Caitlin Clark, and she is a young lady to really take political stances, really take very progressive stances, when it's better just for her to be quiet and use her as a marketing tool for the entire league. They're going to burn her image, which is going to burn her team's image, which is going to burn the league's ability to market off her if they continue to pressure her in these ways.
And this exemplifies the problem with, and I don't want to get too political, but exemplifies the problem with equity instead of equality. Equality would mean you get what you earn from your own abilities. Equity is they'll pay us what you owe us, which is technically they owe the league more, but whatever.
Yeah, if they wanted, like, the reason the NBA players get paid way more than they should, I think, is because they get a share of the profits. So they're almost at a 50% share. The NFL works a very similar way, and so does the NHL. That's why these athletes are so overpaid, because the league makes so much money because people want to watch them. Now, if the WNBA want to get paid more, they need the entire league to make more money and go in a profit sharing model, just like NBA players. But if they were in a profit sharing model right now, each player would have to pay approximately $18,000 to the league. So I don't know what they want, but they're lucky to even be playing and to be getting paid, because the league is losing hand over fist money year after year.
Now, speaking of another thing that's actually losing money, Marvel. So from Screen Geek, Jenna Ortega reportedly wanted for Marvel MCU role. It's been reported that Jenna Ortega is reportedly wanted for a major role in the MCU.
Yeah, and this is a little bit old. This article is from March, but I want to kind of keep up onto it because this rumor's popping back up on X a lot. She's making a lot of bad career decisions when it comes to mainstream movies, whether it's independent films or now a mainstream film. She was made by Wednesday, which is a TV series. She seems to be doing very well on TV, but recently she attempted to cross over with the movie Hurry Up Tomorrow with The Weeknd. That was absolutely horrible. It was written and produced by The Weeknd. The trailer did look good. I remember we were sitting in, I can't even remember the name of the
movie.
I think it was Boston Pizza or something. We were sitting in, I said, that trailer looks pretty good. I went to watch it. And then the movie came out and it was a horrible movie. The Weeknd was absolutely horrendous in it. Jenna Ortega, she's lucky nobody's seen that movie, because the fact that nobody's seen that movie benefited her in the long run, because the movie absolutely was horrible and she was a stain on the movie as well. That being said, she's now trying to do another movie. She's going to the Marvels. Marvels is a dying IP, a dying franchise. What does she think she's going to be the one person that brings Marvel back? Highly unlikely. She needs to find a movie if she does want to do movies with big actors, really good directors, really good screenwriters.
For me, she just annoys me because she's one of those fake Latinas that just base their whole identity and their whole careers on the fact that they're descendants of someone that might have been Latino, but they themselves are not. She can't even speak Spanish.
Yeah, but I know you're saying that, but I'm just more or less focusing on her movie selections as an actress. Sydney Sweeney, she's doing some things I might not agree with in her marketing of her own personal brand, but she makes very good movie selection roles, and she's being offered very big movie selection roles, so she can make those picks. She's picking IPs that really could emerge as very big IPs, such as Gundam, other anime properties, as well as video game properties. She's really looking at roles that really fit her character very well.
And I mean, I do think that with Jenna Ortega, she has leaned in a little bit into like the Wednesday-ification of herself and going more towards horror and terror and Beetlejuice and all of these other, similar properties, but maybe breaking out of those as well. But I don't think Marvel would be the best next step. It's
a little hard for her to break out of things because she doesn't have any really sexuality behind her. So she's limited in the roles she can take for a female. So the Wednesday style roles are kind of perfect for her. But there's plenty of roles like that she could be leaning into. Sydney Sweeney is really leaning into her sexuality and marketing that, not just on screen, but off screen. And with the cultural shift, I think Sydney Sweeney is really primed to take control of the market right now. Okay, let's go into John Oliver here.
From Variety, John Oliver says, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Cancellation is incredibly sad. Terrible news for the world of comedy. And I think he also joked about it.
Whoa, sorry, what did you say?
I think he also said, but it might be good for him, for John Oliver.
I didn't even realize Jon Stewart. Stephen Colbert. Go to the headline again. It's Stephen Colbert.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't even realize Stephen Colbert was a comedian anymore. I thought he stopped being a comedian like 5 or 10 years ago when he had the Stephen Colbert Show, and before he leaned into extremely heavy into partisan politics, where he was only representing one side. And he used to kind of go after both sides, even though he was definitely more progressive. He was kind of funny and the show did work, but for over a decade now, he's really leaned into one side of politics, and it doesn't even resonate as humor anymore. He was making $20 million a year. And you got to figure the studio they're renting out, they're probably overcharging for that because they want to be able to write it off on their taxes. So that's another $20-30 million. Then you have to get the audience in there, and then they may be paying the guests. God knows how much it's costing per episode. But a show like this on YouTube, it's literally one camera, a guy in the room. If the guy has talent, the show works. Paying $20 million. This is like, the show should cost maybe, if it was the same show on YouTube, it would cost less than $10,000 to make. If you put $1 million into it, you expect a hit. They're putting tens of millions of dollars in the show and losing money hand over fist. And this is considered cheap for a show to be produced because they're only having to pay the one actor, which is Stephen Colbert. The market's shifting and YouTube's taking over, and things aren't profitable because YouTube can literally do it for less than a percentage of what this show costs to produce. And YouTube is going to get more viewers. Even if they wanted to redo the show, they could just find somebody that already has talent on YouTube. Fire Stephen Colbert, save $20 million, rent a warehouse that's cost next to nothing, and shoot the show out of there with no audience. So I can understand why the show's getting canceled. There is a transition coming to TV, and I think YouTube is going to have a lot to do with that, and I think that's where a lot of the new talent's going to come from. We're going to know that because you're going to see a lot of YouTubers like Brett Cooper going over to TV, being extremely successful, but you're going to see people like Stephen Colbert try to go over to YouTube and not be successful, much like Don Lemon did. He's not able to retain an audience on YouTube. So the street only works one way. When people go to YouTube to mainstream broadcasting, it seems to be working. When people go from mainstream broadcasting to YouTube, it doesn't work except in that extremely rare case of Tucker Carlson.
But also thanks to YouTubers and thanks to people doing similar shows on the cheap and with, I will say, more talent, people have realized that a lot of the things that they see on these late night news / comedy shows, what they're doing is being, as you said, hyper partisan and also not giving the whole side of the story, and people are seeking for that side of the story on YouTube. So that's why the YouTubers are getting more successful than these.
Well, they are getting a lot of views on YouTube because content creators like me are using them for article headlines and using them to compare and contrast the difference between authentic independent media and this bullshit mainstream stuff that they keep putting out. And let's see, they seem to think he's got a lot of opportunities. I took this article with a huge grain of salt.
From Hollywood Reporter, what will Stephen Colbert do after Late Show ends? He has options. Running down Colbert's possible futures now that CBS has admitted the late night format is broken.
Okay,
it's not broken. It's on YouTube now.
Yeah, it's on YouTube now. Also, David Letterman, which is pictured there with Stephen Colbert, actually had a lot of talent, and he stayed, for the most part, bipartisan. And he didn't bring a lot of politics into it.
And he went into Apple TV Plus. That's what Letterman did.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is Letterman actually had some talent, and he didn't have much of a career after. So the fact that Stephen Colbert is expecting to have a career after when David Letterman had a tough time transitioning, I don't see it happening.
The Late Show host Stephen Colbert may not quite be the 1,000-pound gorilla of modern interview format. That would be Joe Rogan, once again, hearkening to the YouTubes. But he certainly carries a lot of weight when you're the highest rated late night, which isn't saying much, late night host on broadcast television.
Oh, one second. And they had to put broadcast television in there because the king of late night is actually, what's the gentleman's name from Fox News?
Greg Gutfeld.
Greg Gutfeld. And it's funny that Greg Gutfeld's getting more than double Stephen Colbert's viewership, but he's behind a paywall called cable TV. Okay, let's keep going.
And one of the most recognizable people in media, plus have a loyal audience that has grown addicted to watching you 5 nights a week for years. You have significant value in the marketplace, even if CBS is showing you the door. And I mean, I'm thinking that audience that would follow him wherever is just older people that don't know how YouTube works. And otherwise, they'd be on YouTube.
I don't think they're addicted to late night watching him on late night TV. I think they just want something on their TV, and usually whatever leads up to late night, a lot of people just leave their TV running, and that's how a lot of those viewership numbers are coming in. On YouTube, to get your viewership, somebody actually has to go seek you out.
Colbert may not be able to sit anywhere he wants when his series ends, but he's definitely going to have a few seats to choose from. In some sense, a 61-year-old's relative lack of future-proofing preparedness for this upheaval is his own fault. Despite coming to CBS from the once edgy realm of Comedy Central's The Daily Show and his own The Colbert Report, the host's tenure on broadcast has been marked by his embrace of highly traditional talk show format.
Okay, let's stop right here for a second. He's been getting paid $20 million. And he's just a bunch of bipartisan hack points. He doesn't know how to do anything but be the personality. He doesn't know about everything about the rest of the production and stuff like that. Him trying to transition into YouTube, he can try to contrive it and hire a team and spend a bunch of money, but he's going to lose hand over fist money trying to do that. And he's probably not going to get an audience. Also, if he doesn't get an audience on YouTube and he pays a whole team for this production and everything else, it's going to make headlines and it's going to crush any other career opportunities. So like I've been saying, getting a talent from YouTube to broadcasting works, but often when broadcasters try to go over YouTube other than Tucker Carlson, it doesn't work. And I don't think he's going to be willing to suck up his pride and actually take the risk to see if the market actually wants to watch him.
And we did see a lot of these late night hosts like David Letterman. I mean, he went to Apple TV Plus, but that's kind of still like streaming. Stewart went
and that's
also for Apple TV Plus. Stewart, I mean.
A lot of these are based upon connections because a lot of these shows, when David Letterman did go over there, didn't get good ratings. Even Jon Stewart, not good ratings. Colbert's not going to get good ratings. But because they have connections, and especially Stephen Colbert, he's been so one-sided on his politics. He's going to fail upwards, I think.
And then Conan O'Brien and also Bill Maher did the whole podcast thing. They went the podcast route. Jillian Michaels,
but I will say,
also went into podcasting.
Bill Maher actually has some skills, and he can be somewhat on both sides of the political spectrum. Conan O'Brien's actually, I find him kind of funny. So,
but yes, I mean, all of them will try to do what works now, and they won't realize that their old format isn't what people are into anymore. They want more normal humans. But Rafa says, hope Jimmy Fallon is canceled soon as well.
I used to like Fallon. I used to like all of them because they didn't talk politics. But ever since they at some point they required him to start talking politics on a late night show where they were interviewing movie stars.
Yeah.
And there was no reason to bring it in.
Well, it was about 10 years ago when they really wanted to hit Trump and get Trump out. And then they just continued with that, and people got tired and saw through the
entire thing backfired.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk a little bit of production now. And I'm actually going to talk about the old iPad here. Let's see this thing.
Literally and figuratively old.
So at one point, Nat bought this little piece of equipment. I highly recommend against it. It's a piece of shit.
You can't say that. It's not a piece of equipment. That was for me to take notes.
I know. We're going to talk about this thing because you had a different option at that point. So it's this. I'll open it up for everybody so they can see. It looks like a piece of paper. It's actually kind of like a Kindle, but that you can
to read as well.
That you can write on with the pen. It feels like paper. It
wasn't for you. It was for me.
It feels like paper. It looks like paper, but it doesn't connect to the app notes or any relevant apps. It's kind of standalone.
It has its own app,
which is a problem to transfer files back and forth.
And you can't connect it to notes.
It's not. It's not easy and convenient.
It's called Remarkable, in case you were wondering.
Obviously,
but it wasn't equipment. It was when I was actually working in high school.
Hold on,
so
I'm not done tearing apart this piece of equipment. How much did it cost at the time?
I don't remember.
If you had to guess.
200.
So okay. Most people are trying to decide between a Remarkable and an iPad.
Nobody's trying to decide between those two.
I guarantee you, because if you watch the videos online, they had number one, they have millions of views, millions of comments.
To be able to read,
and
not to use as a piece of equipment.
Not as what you can do with the Remarkable is basically take notes. What you can do with an iPad is not just take notes, but a million other things. If you are trying to decide between these two, I highly recommend an iPad. If you're going to do something like a Remarkable, just get a pen and a piece of paper.
No, between the Remarkable and the Kindle, that's
nobody's trying to decide between those two.
Between a Kindle and a Remarkable, yes, they are, because with a Kindle you can't really take notes and you can't.
Why
really
wouldn't
write.
You just buy an iPad it does all
because
those things?
Because the iPad does the glare. That's annoying when you read.
You can get an anti-glare screen.
So you don't know.
You can get an anti-glare screen.
No.
Okay, I'm going to highly recommend an iPad, not just for taking notes. Also, if you want to read. Also, if you want to do anything with production, especially if you're already in the Apple ecosystem. There are a lot of people asking online, should they get a Remarkable or get an iPad? I think a Remarkable ultimately is a waste of money. I think an iPad has actually done a whole lot more than I ever thought it would do. There's constantly apps for different things that I'm using, whether it's video production, photo editing, whether it's for actually taking notes in the morning when I'm trying to prepare these shows.
But the iPad is a worse computer. That's the thing.
Yeah, but it integrates seamlessly between everything. If I'm trying to take notes,
is a better computer. Is a better book or a better Kindle.
It doesn't
That's
take
the
notes well.
comparison.
I can't integrate it with my notes. When I take when I take notes into my phone, it's automatically into my iPad.
So it does. The same thing happens with the Remarkable if you have the app. You just don't have the app. The cool thing about the Remarkable.
Why don't you have
is
an app on your Remarkable? That's what we're going to use it for.
When you write on the Remarkable, it transcribes it into text, like actual text, not just notes taken by
You can
hand.
do that with the iPad as well.
But it's not. Okay,
Yes, it works much better.
whatever.
She just doesn't want to admit the Remarkable is a crappy piece of equipment.
It's not a crappy piece of equipment if you're using it for what you needed. I needed it to take
It's not
notes and
versatile.
to read.
The reason I say
It
it's
is
crappy
versatile.
is because it's not versatile.
It is
The
versatile.
iPad is one of the most extremely versatile pieces of equipment.
iPad
you can
annoys me
use.
because it's pretending to be a computer when it's not.
It's not supposed to be a computer.
The Remarkable is not supposed to be an iPad. It's supposed to be
But-
a better Kindle.
The iPad can work as a Remarkable or as a computer. I can actually
No, it
fully
Because you can't read as easily on it.
DaVinci Resolve's fully on here. Everything else I
But
need.
because you can't read on it properly, people don't like iPads. That's why I don't
You can
like
also
iPads.
hook the iPad up without a cord to go onto your TV.
Only if you have an Apple.
No, because the big Samsung TV I have also works. What do you call it?
AirPlay.
AirPlay. So all the most of the new TVs, the big Samsung TV you see on our other set has AirPlay.
You can
It
do the
doesn't
same
have
thing with
Apple
a
TV.
phone or a computer.
That's why this is so good. If you can't see it like you're suggesting, you can simply
An
AirPlay it
iPad
onto your
is
TV.
a worse phone and a worse computer. It's just like in between for people that, I don't know.
iPad works extremely well,
don't
especially
like
if you're
iPads.
on the go and you want something cheap that you don't necessarily want to bring a $2,000 or $3,000 computer. You may get stolen or something like that. The iPad can usually do everything the computer can do. So I do recommend the iPads.
I've never liked iPads.
It's been a lifesaver when it comes to production.
It's for people that don't know how to use a computer properly, like you.
I use my computer as well. I also
But
use
not
the iPad.
properly.
I also use the phone, and they integrate seamlessly. That's why I like Apple.
And Remarkable is for people that like to read and that like to write notes as well. That's what it's for.
But it doesn't integrate
not for
into the
production.
show or anything else I do.
Because it wasn't for the show. It was for when I was working. Oh my God. I'm not going into this.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the day. Me and Nat will have a little bit more of a debate off camera, I guess. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to get to 300 subscribers and hopefully one day 1,000 subscribers so we can monetize this channel.
And thank you so much, Rafa, for all your comments and for watching us and anybody else that watches us on replay as well. Tomorrow there will not be a show.
Oh yeah, there's not going to be a show. I'm going to be on WDW Pro at 12 Eastern time
Yes, 12 Eastern.
until 3 Eastern.
Yeah, 10 Mexico City time.
And that's my first time on WDW Pro. Usually they have Nat, so I appreciate them having me on.
And we'll put the link on X as soon as it is confirmed. This is tentative, so if you see a show here tomorrow, it means got canceled.
Adios.
Have a good rest of your day. We'll see you tonight at 9 p.m. Mexico City time, 9:15.